Now, let me first break the myth. The first myth is that this guy is a doctor. He's not. He's actually an engineer. Okay. So I don't know how engineers heal. I don't know. He should have probably done his MBBS or something, but he ended up being an engineer, and now has found his calling by doing what he calls as mental healing. One of the things he said to me was, Feroz, mental disorder is due to energy imbalance. Now, can you explain a little bit more? What do you mean when you say it's an energy imbalance?
Okay. Let me try to do a little. Your first question is coming a little heavy on me.
Little heavy, okay. Take the lighter route.
Yeah. So, the best way to explain that is, if you look at any of the mental disorder, where they begin with depression, and it ends with schizophrenia. And in between you have OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, you have bipolar disorder. So all these disorders are actually affecting your behavior. And predominantly this comes from two things. One is lack of sleep and breathing pattern changing. So when I reverse mental disorder, these are the two things which we actually restore back, and they're very simple. So you can understand this if you have seen any schizophrenia case, you would know they have delusions and they hear the voices. And how do you experience as a normal person schizophrenia? Just don't sleep for 2 nights and you will know next morning that you are getting delusions. So imagine a patient of schizophrenia who has not slept for many, many nights would begin to have this as a permanent effect in his brain and his body. So the disorder of the energy sets into the body. That's why I call it energy imbalance. And this can be very simply balanced.
So you are actually saying that it can be reversed?
It can be reversed. It can be reversed.
So do you mean to say that somebody who's schizophrenic can be out of it?
Yeah, and incidentally, my first patient actually was schizophrenic, an MBBS MD doctor. I picked him up from mental hospital.
And he's okay now?
Yeah, within 5 days he was back to normal.
Now, I know that you say, you've always said this, that there is science. So this is not mystique, this is not a superpower that you have. Yeah. This is science, and you explain it by the science or the principles of quantum physics. Am I right?
Right.
So where does quantum physics play a role here?
Right. So there are few things in that. The quantum physics principle says that everyone is vibrating, everything is vibrating in the universe and nothing is fixed, nothing is permanent. So any state we take, whether schizophrenic or otherwise, is also a vibrational state, first of all. It's not permanent. It can have chemical changes like dopamine and other things which allopathy keeps talking about. But the chemical changes are caused by some changes in the formula. So everyone is vibrating, that's where the quantum physics comes in. Then I use the principles of 7 chakras. Those 7 chakras in your body, which comes from the Hindu scriptures, which are very popular by now. The 7 chakra represent 7 colors, 7 emotions, and 7 value systems. So, for example, if you take a case of schizophrenia, the case of schizophrenia is coming from the fact that something has happened in your life which is bigger than life, as per your assumption. Predominantly, it is the death of a parent, one of the parents or the loved one. And then over a period of time, when such an event happens and you're pushed to the wall, you'll end up with schizophrenia. It's a simplistic view, but this is how you actually begin to have it. Now, look at what actually happens to you when you do that. The first rule is that any event of the life which turns out to you bigger than your faith in life, right? So if you take away everything from me and I say, oh, I'm lost, like we since morning we're talking about, what do we have now with us? Let's work on it. But I'm conditioned to think that if everything is lost from me, I'm done. Then I lose my faith in life. That's where the beginning of depression comes in. Now with this beginning of depression, what happens is that your breathing pattern changes. With this breathing pattern changing, your breathing becoming shallow, and it is operating through predominantly one nostril, not switching every 1.5 hours or 2 hours, which biologically it should switch to do the balance of male and female energy, which is electromagnetic field. That's where the quantum physics again converges. It affects your sleep. Now, how sleep works is, sleep is a partition between your conscious and your subconscious. And if you do not sleep well, that's where you begin to get delusions, because you begin to get the hyperactive pineal gland, which is the gateway to subconscious. So in your conscious, you begin to get interference from subconscious. And to reverse this, we just need to put you to sleep. That's the first step.
Very interesting. Now,
I'm not sure if I answered you
no,
well.
I think I got
complex.
it. I'm not too sure about the audience.
It got a little complex. If you want, I can probably simplify that.
Yes. No, but very interesting point. Now, you consider yourself a healer. Can anybody become a healer, or is it some special skill that you think you have? Because if you want to heal a lot of people, you can't do it yourself. So how do you scale this? Can anybody learn how to heal?
So my commitment, and that's where I left my corporate life. Actually, I didn't leave it, it just happened. And my last project was with Dr. Bedi.
So you see, it's a small world.
She is the mother to me, who gave rise to the healer in me. So my commitment to life, as it turns out to be, as I saw my calling, is that I want this cure, this treatment, to come in the form of either a book or it is to be written down. Today, I'm fortunate, and I think one of them is sitting here, who came as a patient, and now today she is a healer with me. Shaina, she's sitting with somewhere here. So there is a possibility to convert people into healing. So there are two things which I'm doing at the same time. I mean, of course, my bandwidth is very limited. One, I'm writing it, and two, I'm more and more focusing on converting healers. So the science, for example, if you, anybody should be able to, as of today, anybody should be able to handle 50% of depression just by me giving some instructions in 2-3 pages. There are simple processes for that. All you need to do is just put the person to sleep and improve the breathing. Then comes little complicated part, which is still not complicated, but at least the person gets back to his normal life and begin to come to shape. So that's how I think it should scale.
Yeah. The other interesting thing, if I understand it right, you don't have to meet your patient. You can do healing remotely. Is this some kind of a telepathy, or what do you do actually?
No, it's what your technology understand, cloud computing. So everyone is connected with everyone else at cosmic level. And yeah, you're right. I mean, we do that day in, day out today, especially the patient who are in ICU and the doctors have given up. We work on them. We have never seen them. And that's how actually my journey began. Anything less than that probably would not have convinced me to leave my logical world to be able to do that. So yes, everyone is connected with everyone else. What I do is, of course, I don't need to see the patient quite often. But what the biggest barriers, there are a lot of barriers for me to heal. I need to convince the parents, which are or the family members. They often turn out to be the biggest barrier because of their ignorance, not because of any other reason. So I like to see them once, and then I let them go back home, and I do almost all of my treatment remotely.
I mean, you've done 500 cases of in some ways, reversal of mental disorder. Can you tell me one case which was probably the most difficult one for you, or one case which stands out, so that people in this room understand what really happened and what was the, that particular case? You don't have to name anybody,
Sure.
but just that experience.
2-3 cases turn out to be very difficult. I'll take one example because in this case I was sweating. There was a young boy, 22 years old, coming from Kuala Lumpur, Indian family, NRI, and his father was a top shot in some petroleum company. And so when he came to me, it looks rather, he has paranoid schizophrenia. Paranoid schizophrenia is supposed to be the most complex one out of all. And he had delusions and he had hallucinations. So he spent 3 days with me. In 3 days, within 2 days actually, 80% of his hallucinations were over. And then he went back for my remote treatment. I knew that the reason for his schizophrenia is because his father is putting huge pressure on him. He could not do well in his engineering. He probably could not complete it. And so he was trying to escape that, the pressure from father. So much so that mother was more like a vegetable. She wasn't really a contributing factor. And as soon as they sat down in front of me, mother and father started having the argument and fight. Now the conflict which they were having were clearly going on to the child. And the toughest time for me was to deal with the father. He wasn't willing to believe that it is he and his pressure which has caused him the problem. So he says that, so till this point it was clear, I come from the corporate, so I use my coaching skills, and if I had to be loud, I was loud. If I had to be challenging him, I did that also. He understood, and he said, look, I'm not anymore doing pressure on my child. I'm fine. I can take my child back to Agra from where we are, and then make a farmhouse and a school and all that. But the problem is, with the fear with the child, and a lot of parents who are sitting here should know this, that it works like this, that you're driving a car and by mistake, you turn the steering by 2 degrees and you forget to correct it and you're on the highway. Now, by now the car has already gone in the gadda. Now, if you say, look, I just did small thing and now I don't do it, I've reversed it, but the damage is already done. The child who has already received mental disorder by no means has any rational ability to look at your new face, which is cordial and polite. The fear has gone and set into him. So that turned out to be the most difficult case, where the parents were not willing to accept. So what I do now as part of my treatment is, in case of schizophrenia especially, I first treat the parents. Then I treat, or in parallel, I treat the child.
Naveen, you've just co-authored a book which is released in the US. What plans to release it in India? And what is the book about, if you can just spend 2 minutes on that?
Okay, this is 5 actually healers who invited me, and I wrote that. This is about the spiritual journey. It's about the power of belief. What you believe is what you get. And so there are 6 laws. Power of belief is one which is written by me, and there are other 5 laws. So this book is published very recently in US. It is available on Amazon.com. To be honest, I have not seen the final version of it yet. But yeah, we are trying to get that in India.
Yep. One last question, Naveen. So you've opened a clinic. Can you speak a little bit about it? I'm sure many parents would want to reach out to you at some point in time. What do you do in the clinic, and where is it?
Sure. Clinic is on the airport road, Sehkar Nagar, opposite to Columbia Asia Hospital. It's a small clinic. Intention is to see the patient there, and most of the treatments, almost all the treatment, I just need to see the patient for an hour or 2. In case of mental disorder, I like to keep them for 2 to 3 days and then send them back wherever in the world they live, and all the treatment happens remotely. So intention is to heal people from there.
Naveen, thank you so much. I wish you a lot of success and let many more people get healed through you.